Hello, everyone, dear English teachers in Peru and teachers around the world. Welcome to today's webinar. We have an amazing webinar today that is titled Assessing English Language Learners. Okay, let's start. We're going to remember, as usual, our network. Remember that you can follow us on our Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, YouTube, subscribe please, and TikTok. Now we are going to, I'm going to share with you some instructions that you have to consider in order to participate in today's session. Please type your questions in the comment section. The answers to your questions and comments will be replied by our guest speaker at the end of the webinar in the question time section. And the most important instruction is, remember that when finishing the webinar, we will share a link for you to have access to the exit ticket, which will be available for 15 minutes, teachers. Please consider that. And now it's time to know our guest speaker. And we have here with us our dear administrator, Miss Gina Soplopuco. Are you there?
Yes, hello, dear colleague.
Miss Gina.
Hello,
Could you introduce our guest speaker, please?
Yes, so our guest, it's a pleasure to introduce the guest, Mrs. Magda Castro, who holds a teaching degree given by Universidad Nacional Mayor de San Marcos and a master's degree in education management given by Cesar Vallejo University. She has been involved in the ELT work for more than 25 years. She enjoys sharing her teaching experience with teachers from different institutions in different academic environments. Ms. Magda? Welcome, Ms. Magda.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, English Teachers Peru, for your invitation. It's a pleasure for me to share with you this afternoon. Okay, and we are going to start with our topic, okay, which is a very interesting one. I'm sure that all of you are interested on this one, right? So let's see. Our topic today is assessing English language learners. That definitely has to do with assessment, okay? And there is a question for all of you, okay? I have sent a link and I would like you to go to Menti, okay? Or just click on the link. And the question is, what is assessment? Or also you can enter your answers in the chat box. I am also going to be reading your comments here in the chat box in YouTube. Okay, so no problem. We are going to try to interact a little bit. Okay, and I will be reading your answers. Okay, so I don't want you to be just passive listeners today. Okay, so maybe we can interact a little bit. Okay, so Rosario, Margarita, Leslie, Rita, welcome. Roxana, Luz, Marcelo. Okay, and please, what is assessment? You are like 252 people online. Okay, so what is assessment? Okay, and the question that you are going to find here in Menti is this one. Okay, and you have already entered your answers, which is great. Okay, all right. Okay, so I can see your answers here. Okay, great. Let's see how many people are interacting. 20, 21. Great. Thank you very much for interacting, teachers. Okay, so, okay, let's wait for some more people to enter their answers. Okay, so what is assessment related to? Okay, what is assessment related to? I see very interesting words. Okay, it continues changing here. All right. Okay, so we are going to stop voting. Okay, stop entering your answers now. And now I would like to highlight the words. Okay, so most of you think that assessment is related to evaluation. Okay, also to feedback, right? Okay, here you also think that it has to do with progress, with diagnostic. Yeah, probably because some of you have done diagnostic tests, right? Okay, strategies, evidence, evaluating, formative evaluation. Okay, and you also it's comprehension. Okay, to check and give probably feedback. No, give feedback, analyze information, assessment in the system. Probably you mean the education system, right? Competencies, okay, opportunities, appreciation, metacognition, activities in class, evaluate the abilities, okay, formative evaluation, and this will probably be continue changing, right? But I think that we have some keywords here that are evaluation and feedback, right? So these are the keywords. Okay, so we have evaluation, feedback, strategies. Okay, great, great. Okay, thank you very much, teachers, for your participation today. Great. All right. And now we're going to check here. What is assessment? Or what is assessment related to? Because we are always talking about assessment, formative assessment, diagnostic assessment, right? But what is assessment? Okay, so first, assessment is the gathering of information about something such as student performance. Okay, so we assess our student performance. Then we have one idea. It is information, yes, because we gather information, we process information, we analyze the information, and the most important thing is that we make decisions based on that information. Okay, it is qualitative, definitely, okay, it's qualitative, okay, and pinpoints the specific strengths and weaknesses, okay, but not only by the side on our students, but also on the side of teachers, because in assessment, when talking about assessment, teachers and students are involved. Okay, so we do not only assess students, we can also assess our own teaching. And this is what it is very, very interesting about assessment. Okay, so that's why we are always talking about assessment. And it is diagnostic, formative, as well as summative. Okay, and here I would like to highlight this, okay, that assessment is diagnostic, formative, and summative. Okay, now the diagnostic assessment is done at the beginning of the program. Okay, that's why I know that all of you have been involved, right? And the diagnostic evaluation at the beginning of the school year, right? And formative is the assessment, okay, on students' learning. And summative is when you evaluate or assess your students' performance, especially when we talk about the evidence of learning or the learning evidence. Yeah. So we have then three, let's say, three kinds of assessment: no, diagnostic, formative, and summative. Okay. And what do we assess? Okay, what do we assess? First, we assess competencies. Okay, we assess levels of complexity of the competencies. And we also assess if students are able to combine different capacities. Okay, so that's why I wanted to focus on this, on the competencies, okay? Because I have heard sometimes, Okay, teachers saying that we assess just the capacities or certain skills, right? But when we assess, we have to think on the whole thing, which is the competence, yeah? And in English area, you know that we have three competencies, right? Oral, the reading, and the writing, right? Well, you know the name of the three competencies, but we have to focus on all of them. And you know that for each competencies, we have certain capabilities that our students have to develop, okay? And they have to combine in order to show that they have, that they are developing the competencies, yeah? So that's why it is very important to understand that we cannot chop the competencies, okay? But the competency is the whole, okay? The competency is the whole, okay? So we have levels of complexity, okay? If students are able to combine different capacities, remember that we assure that our students have developed the competency when they are able to combine different capacities, okay? And we take into consideration the standards as criteria. Okay, so what is the criteria that I need to keep in mind when I assess my students? Is the standards, right? As criteria. Okay, so this is it. And then we have this important question, which is why do we assess? And why do you assess, teachers? I would like you to give you some food for thought, okay? So why do you assess? Okay, why do you assess? Can you please enter some of your answers in the chat box? Why do you assess? Why do we teachers assess? And why is that we are always, interested in assessing? Okay, let's see, I am going to be reading your answers here in the chat box, yeah, here in YouTube. So you can enter your answers. Why do we assess? Okay, Carlos Cooley Pariachi says to improve learners' learning. Okay. To identify the progress of the students. Also, Mirka says to confirm the progress of the students. Okay, to measure whether our teaching strategies meet the objectives. Okay, to make sure about the progress of something, to make decisions. Okay. Well-designed assessment methods provide valuable information about the student learning. They tell us what the students learn, how well they learned it, and where they struggle. That's Miguel Pino. Okay, thank you, Miguel, for your answer. Milka says, good evening, hi. Okay, because we can get to know the improvements of our students, to see the progress of our students, to check, I assess to check my students' learning progress. Okay, and when do you assess? Because all of you, you are saying very important here facts, okay, that we have to take into account our students' progress, okay? You say that you measure your students' progress. You also mentioned something very important, that if your teaching meets your students' needs, which is very important. Another thing that you have mentioned is that you assess because you want to make decisions. I suppose that it is make decisions on the way you teach, on what you're teaching, okay, and the methods that probably you are applying when teaching your students, right? So that's what you mean. So we assess, okay, and assessment has to do, as I told you at the beginning, with students, but also with teachers, okay? So assess is going to benefit the students and teachers, okay? And why do we assess? First, we assess, okay, we assess to foster students' autonomy in their learning and to make them become aware of their needs and strengths. And the key word here is to make them aware, okay? Let's think a little bit on this. Are our students aware about their needs and strengths? Do they really know what they need to improve? Do they really know what they should be able to do according to the level? Okay. Do our students know about their strengths? Okay. I think that these are very important questions because the learning is done by our students. Okay. So it is very important to make them become aware of their needs and strengths. But who is in charge of telling them about this? It's you, no? The teacher. Okay, because that's what you are assessing, because you are going to give them feedback. And when you give them feedback, then your students become aware of their needs and strengths. Okay, so then when we assess, I mean, our students are benefit of it, but as well as teachers. Also, to enhance students' confidence to deal with challenges, mistakes, and to communicate what they do, know, and what they are not able to do. Okay, so as I told you before, right? So it is very important for our students to know what they are able to do or what they should be able to do. Okay, so how often do we really, do this in our class with our students? Do they really know? What about their strengths and weaknesses? What do they need to improve? And do we tell them how can we improve? How can they improve? Okay, so this is very important. Okay, and now for teachers to cater students' diverse learning needs by giving them differentiated opportunities in relation to the reach levels to shorten gaps and avoid desertion. Yeah, so this is very important, and to give feedback to the teaching in relation to the different needs of the students. As you mentioned, we also assess to check if our teaching, okay, meets our students' learning needs. Okay, so this is very important. So assessment, then in assessment, we are involved as well as the students. Okay, so this is important. So remember that when we talk about assessment, we do not think just on the students, but also on us, no, teachers. Okay, so that's something important. Now, how is the process of learning and teaching of the competencies assessed? Okay, how is the process? Okay, first, we need to understand the competencies to be evaluated, okay, or assessed. No, we analyze the learning standard of the cycle. Okay, now we need to choose or design meaningful situations. Okay, we need to use criteria to elaborate evaluation tools. Okay, today we're going to talk also a little bit about assessment tools. Okay, communicate the students about what and the way they will be evaluated. This is also important. Okay, value the performance of each student by analyzing evidence of learning, and give feedback, no, to students in order to help them improve and move on to the next expected level, and make adjustments to our teaching. Okay, so that's the process, no? Okay, especially in basic education. Yeah, I would like to highlight give feedback because I think that this is something that we have to continue improving. Okay, how do we give feedback to our students? Okay, how often do we give them feedback? Okay, how do we give them feedback? This is very important because we assess, but at the same time, we need to give feedback. Okay, now here we have the process. Now, this is a kind of summary. So we cater, identify learning needs, we give differentiated opportunities to students, and we develop the capacity of self-assess of your own performance. Okay. Now, for today, I wanted to share with you some assessment strategies because I know that you have, as I could realize from your answers, you know a lot about assessment. Okay, because you mentioned that assessment has to do with evaluation, that has to do with feedback, that it has to do with checking if your teaching meets your students' needs, right? Learning needs. And you mentioned students' performance, okay, making decisions based on the results, okay? So I think that you are already familiarized. I know that you have been attending different workshops and probably you have attended many workshops about this topic, right? So, but for today, I wanted to share with you some assessment strategies, okay? Because most of the time, when we listen to the word assessment, immediately we think about rubrics. Yes or no? Am I right? Okay, or wrong? When you hear the word assessment, you think, ah, yeah, okay, checklist and rubrics, right? Holistic and analytics rubrics, okay? But that's not all about assessment, okay? So there are other things that we have to take into consideration. And we are going to check some today, okay? And I hope also that you could apply some of them in your classes with your students now that you are going to schools and you have face-to-face sessions with your students, okay? So maybe this is going to help you. Okay, so you one way, okay, to assess your students' learning, it's through interviews, and the interviews can be done this way, okay? Teacher-students interviews or student-student interview. Okay, so what is the important thing with interview is that we need to think about the questions, okay? There are many ways in which you can handle this strategy. You can think ahead of the questions related to the topic that you are working in the classroom with your students. But remember, make sure to make your questions ahead, okay? We think that making questions is an easy task, but because of the experience, right? I can tell you that it's not like that. I mean, it's very important for us teachers to make sure that the questions are addressing the topic, right? And apart from that, we have to make sure to choose the level of questions. No, it can be a very basic question, it can be a high order thinking question, okay, or maybe a low order thinking questions. Okay, you can make questions just to identify, okay, or maybe to retrieve some information or recall some information, or maybe you want your students to make inferences, no, based on the topic, okay, that they have read or listened to, or you want to make them analyze. So you have to think on the kind of question you want to ask, okay, to your students during an interview. And also you can make or ask your students to make their own questions, okay? I don't know if you have ever tried this, asking the students to write their own questions. I mean, what questions would you like to ask your classmate about this topic? Okay, it can be a very simple topic like daily routines. Okay, so what would you like to know about your classmate? Okay, guys, why don't you make your questions? And it's not you giving them the questions, but it's you giving the students the chance to make their own questions. Of course, that probably previous to this activity, you have taught them how to make questions, and you have also presented the grammar, probably, okay, or a reading or a listening, okay? But then after that, you want your students to speak. And when you want your students to speak, you can also give them the chance to make and pose their own questions. Okay, so then it becomes more meaningful for the students because it's not the teacher telling them what to ask or just role play a conversation, but it's them posing their own questions. Okay, and students, of course, are going to become more engaged, right, in the activities. Okay, and it's nice when you see your students making their own questions and then you ask them to share. I am going to tell you about an experience I have just had last week. Okay, I just chose a very short video. Okay, it was a 1.5 minute video, and I just show my students the video, and then I ask them, okay, today I am not going to make questions about the video. I want you to make the questions about the video. So I group them first, okay? I made groups of 4, and I asked them to start writing some questions about the video they have just seen. And then when they came back, because I do this in this remote, okay, teaching, and when they came back to the main room, okay, they shared their questions. And then I mixed them up, okay, and I formed new groups, and the task was to ask each other the questions, okay. And as you can see, I realized that it really worked. It really worked because I gave them the chance to create their own questions, and then I asked them to ask those questions to other students. And it was very rewarding, okay? And I made sure that they really understood how to make questions, okay, first, because we checked together first, right? And I also gave them feedback on the questions. And once I was sure that their questions were okay, go ahead, ask your students, ask each other, no, ask your classmates, okay, about this. So it was rewarding, and it was a kind of a strategy that I think you can also apply in face-to-face sessions, yeah, and it's even better, no, when you are with them in the class, okay. And now here there is another one with entry and exit questions, okay? You can include questions like, what is most interesting thing you learned last class? Okay, what did you find most interesting about today's class? What did you find most challenging about today's class? And you can also list 3 things you learned today, and you can also ask them to tell you 1 thing they didn't understand today. I think that these entry and exit questions are very important to make them reflect on their own learning. And remember that at the beginning, in one of the first slides, I told you that assessment has to do with giving the students the opportunity to reflect on their own learning, right? Okay, and this is important. When they start reflecting on the way they learn, and how much they learn and how much they need to learn, then things changed, okay? Because they get more engaged in the sessions, and you are also empower your students, okay? So we are talking a lot about empowering, and I think that this is a good way to empower your students, okay? So this is something you can also do, okay, in different ways, no? You can have a learning log. If you teach online, well, you can also ask, you can use Padlet or Linoid, where your students can post their answers, right? So there are many ways in which you can do these entry and exit questions. But this is another strategy of assessment, okay? So as you can see, assessment, when we talk about the holistic rubric or the analytic rubric or the checklist, okay, we are talking about on summative assessment, and we assess just the learning evidence or the product, right? But how about assessing our students' learning? Because that's what we have to do, you know, we have to assess our students' learning. Okay, it's not just asking our students to do something, okay, but helping them to learn how to do things, okay? How can we make our students reflect on their own learning if we don't pose questions or activities, or if we don't give them the chance to reflect? No, so they are not going to do this just because, because they really want to do it. No, so that's why we have to guide them, okay? That's why we are facilitators, right? Because we are just guiding them. But the reflection has to be done by them, okay? Then we have also reflective writing. And what is reflective writing? Okay, so I liked this chart, okay, and I wanted to share with you something I found here about reflective writing and what is not reflecting writing. Okay, so reflective writing is personal thoughts or opinions, okay, a way explore your learning, response to new information, okay, also opportunities to gain knowledge and achieve clarity and understanding. Okay, so this is reflective writing. So when your students write about this, when students write about their opinions of a topic or something they have learned in the class, Okay, they are doing this reflective writing. Okay, when they respond to new information, when they find opportunities to gain knowledge, right? That is reflective writing. And reflective writing is not instructions or an argument. It's not just simple problem solving or a description of an event, no, or judgment about right or wrong, or a research paper. This is not reflective writing. Reflective writing is about the way they feel, think about a topic, no? So, and I think that we have started doing something like this when we ask our students just to show a reaction, for example, or when we also give them a printed version of, I really like this lesson, okay, I enjoy the lesson, or I didn't enjoy the lesson. No? So when we are doing this, we are trying to make kind of reflective writing. But if we ask them some questions, okay, and I like posing questions, because by posing questions, you make your students think or reflect. Okay, and questions don't have to be very, very difficult ones, right? Or very sophisticated questions, but just from simple questions. Okay, depending on the topic, right? Okay, so we can start with an yes no question. Okay, could be acceptable, but I think that double H questions or information questions are the ones that give your students more chance to think. Okay, and that is reflective writing. You can give your students journals and ask them to reflect on the day's lesson by writing about what they learned, as well as what they found challenging, for example. No? So something very simple like, okay, what was the best part of today's lesson? Okay. And what was the most challenging thing? Okay. Maybe you did something very challenging and they can write about it. And you can have a notebook for the whole class. Okay. It's just a notebook for the whole class if you are in a face-to-face class. Now, if you are in a remote class and if you have the chance to work with Zoom or any other, okay, WhatsApp, okay, so you can create a WhatsApp just for that, or maybe a Padlet just to answer these kind of questions. No, so it would be very beneficial for your students and also for you, because as teacher, you could also check what was very challenging for your students and what was the activity or the part of the session that they really enjoyed. No, and based on that, as you mentioned, you can make decisions for your future lessons. Okay, so as you can see, who benefits from assessment? It's both the teachers and the students. Okay, teachers and the students benefit from these kind of activities. Well, choral responses. What are choral responses? I think that we all do choral responses in class, okay? It's to assess your students' understanding of a concept they just learned. Okay, something very common, okay, that we usually do, and also our teachers did with us is, okay, did you understand? Yes? Okay, you expect a yes or no. Or are there any other questions, right? Okay, but we can go beyond that. No, we can, for instance, okay, show me, okay, show me, put your hand up, no, if you understood certain thing, and show me maybe do like this if you have doubts, no, so you can also make codes, okay, or you can also give your students pieces of cardboard with different colors, right? So if you understood, show me blue, for example, no? Now, if you have a question, you can show me yellow. If you, okay, so in that way, you are going to realize about your students' understanding. Yeah, but I think that choral responses are very important. Now, if you are in a virtual environment, like the one we are doing, like the one we are having today, for instance, okay, I can ask you to show me an emoji, right? Because an emoji can be also a choral response, because it gives me the chance to check the way you are feeling, okay? So do you have any questions regarding assessment? If you have, I mean, a question, okay, show me this reaction, no? And Okay. For example, if you are there paying attention, okay, give me a sign. Yeah. Hand, a thumb up. Okay. Here in the chat box. And I am going to start checking if you are following or not. Right. So I'm going, okay. You see, Elizabeth Carmen says like this. So I know that she's paying attention. Okay. Fiorella Quiñones Ramirez says yes. Okay. I cannot read. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, Maria Rodriguez, you see, Teresita, Iris, Megalit, Luz, you see, so this is choral response. Okay, is it important? Yes, because you are letting me know that you are there, that you are paying attention, no? That you are not just connected and doing something else, no, because you just want your certificate. No, it's you are there, you're paying attention. It's great. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Excellent. So this is choral response. And this is something that we can also do. I could pose any question and I can also do the exit ticket through this way. No? Okay, so no problem. That is choral response. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, and this is something that we love, no? Presentations. Presentations. Okay, this is another way to assess your students' learning. And it's just very simple, right? The students give short presentations to the class, sharing what they have learned about a particular topic. And notice that I am saying here topic, okay? A topic is not grammar, okay? I mean a topic, daily routines, I don't know, past events, I don't know, maybe what else? Endangered animals, okay? A topic, okay? What topics have you recently developed in your class? Can you please enter an answer? I am going to be reading. Okay, I'm going to be reading here in the chat box. What is the topic that you have recently developed in your class with your students? Yes, a topic is not grammar, Nancy. You are right. Money. Okay, yeah, that's a good topic. Money. Okay, very good. Okay. Uh, okay. Function is not the topic. Huh? The language function is not the topic. Okay, future plans. Okay, science and technology. Famous singers. Healthy food. Okay, my last vacation. Healthy foods. Okay, being cashless. Okay, family members. Oh, be a good citizen. Excellent. Business. Stop the violence. Life project. Hobbies. Healthy food. Okay, congratulations. Congratulations. Claps for everybody. Very good, because I think that now we are trying to move from grammar oriented to topic or theme or project oriented, right? And I think that this is a big change. Okay, so you cannot ask your students to present, okay, about the present simple, for example. Okay, because what are they going to do with that? No, but you can ask your students to make a presentation about their daily routine. Not maybe not about them, but maybe about their family members' daily routine. You can go even, okay, even further, okay? Because this is something very common, no? Okay, yeah, tell me about your daily routine. Okay, I get up at 6 a.m., then I take a shower, I have breakfast before I go to school, then I go to school at 7:30, etc., no, and so on. Okay, but this is something that we usually do in class, and this I. Yeah, but how about my mom, my dad, my little brother, my little sister, or my older brother? No, so as you can see, if you ask your students to talk about their family members, okay, you make them practice more, because it's not just I, okay, but it's my mom, my dad, and then you make them also practice other aspects of the language. Something very interesting I have found out is that sometimes, because we want them to, or we have them involved in different short, tasks, to talk about themselves, they tend to learn a lot I, and you or your, right? Okay, because it's what do you do? Okay, what is your favorite? No, what is your favorite food, for example? And when they have to talk about somebody else, it's very difficult for them. Then they tend to make mistakes like, okay, Okay, and instead of saying her name is, they say your name is. But you say, no, my name? No, it's her name. No, but why? Because they don't have the chance to practice. You see? So whenever you ask them to do presentations, okay, I think that it would be a good idea also to go a little bit farther. Okay, so why don't you present something about you and your family, or about you and somebody else? Okay, so I think that that is something that you can also ask your students. Okay, and remember also jobs and occupation, Andy, very good. Okay, so remember it's a topic. Okay, remember that all that you have done in previous lessons probably, no, now they have to put into practice and how they are going to present something. Okay, you can also ask them to summarize the lesson's most important concepts. Yes. Okay. They can also summarize. Yes. Mhm. Okay. They can say something about the topic, and even they can realize, okay, about the vocabulary and the grammar they need in order to say that. For example, today we learned to talk about our daily routines. And teacher, in order to talk about my daily routine, I need the present simple. I need vocabulary like wake up, brush your teeth, go to bed, etc. No, okay. So they can reflect. Can they make this reflection? Yes, but remember it's a topic, no. And then that is the your answer for how about the function. Okay, how about the function? The function is that. I mean, what do I need this grammar aspect for? What can I do with this? Okay, because the present simple by itself is just a piece of grammar, right? But if I know when and how can I use it, then it becomes meaningful. Okay, then it becomes meaningful. Okay, because I know the function. Okay, you can also use it as an assessment tool to determine a student's level of understanding. Definitely. This can also be used as an assessment tool. Okay. So then we have many things about presentation. Okay. Yeah, sure. And also they can use connectors. Yes, in presentations, they will need to combine different aspects of the language in presentations, right? And remember that they will probably have to write, because how is that they are going to organize their ideas, right? By putting their thoughts on paper, definitely, right? And then they start learning, probably reading, okay? There are many, many, many skills, many capacities that your students are going to develop through presentations, definitely. Okay, and then I don't know if this, I would like you to focus on, maybe you can focus on this picture here. Okay, do you know about, here we have disagree, agree, strongly agree, and strongly disagree. Do you know how do we call this? How do we call this? Hmm? I will be reading your answers. Hmm? How do we call this strategy? Because this is also strategy. Okay, I will be reading. Uh-huh. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is a strategy. Okay, we have here 4 options. A debate. Yeah, okay. Tania Zabaleta says a debate. Okay, study group, agree. It says yes. Nereida Luz Vilca Condori. Very good. Yes, that is the name of this strategy. 4 corners. Very good. You got it. This strategy is called 4 corners. Okay. And as you can see, literally, okay, you can place, I mean, you can place here, okay, a banner, okay, or maybe a cardboard with the word disagree in one of the corners of your class, okay, agree on another corner, strongly agree in another one, and another corner strongly disagree. And while talking about a topic, you can pose a question, right? And the ones who agree with that go to the corner that says agree. Okay, the ones who disagree to the other corner, the ones who strongly agree and strongly disagree. And the idea is that you can walk around and then you ask your students to support, okay, why do you disagree with this idea? Okay, now that you are talking about pollution, money, okay, pose a question about that topic and ask your students if they agree or disagree. Okay, yeah, okay, so you are going to find really interesting answers. Okay, so strongly agree, agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. No, so you can encourage students to explain why they choose a certain response so that you can make decisions about future classes as well. Right? Okay. Yeah, it can work with any topic, honestly. Okay. Yes, it's a good idea, and I really like it. Okay, this is the four corners. Now, variations of this, well, I remember that when I taught children, for instance, I used vocabulary. Okay, and you know that children have to move a lot. I remember that when I remember one activity that was very nice. I would like to share that with you. It have just okay, come to my mind. I was teaching the rooms of the house. Okay, and I was teaching kindergarten. Okay, and what I did is I used four corners, but I placed, okay, I displayed different um, different furniture that can be found in the kitchen, in the living room, in the bedroom, and in the bathroom. And I had the children in the middle of the class, and I say, okay, now everybody go to the bathroom. So they started running and they went through the bathroom. Now everybody go to the living room, and they went to the living room. Now everybody go to the kitchen and they went to the kitchen, no, and now everybody go and wash your hands in the bathroom, and they went doing like this, and they ran through the bathroom corner. So that is a variation, and I used that, I mean, to practice vocabulary, no, to make sure that my students really identify, okay, this vocabulary regarding rooms of the house. Okay, it's up to you. Now you have the four corners. Okay, the idea here is to pose a question, and then your students can, okay, run and go to the corner, no, according to their opinion. Okay, and then they can support. That's the idea. Variations, of course, you are free. You are very creative. Okay, and you can also add some movement, right? And you can break monotony also with this kind of activity. Okay. Now then you have also 1 minute response. Okay. Now 1 minute response. You can ask your class a question about a topic. Okay. And give them 1 minute to write a response. You can encourage them to focus on their ideas and information rather than correct spelling, grammar, and writing conventions, because at this point, you just want them to give a response. Okay, so forget about the spelling, grammar, or writing conventions here. Okay, you are just, what you want is to get them engaged in activity, no, in the activity. Ask your students to write a 1 sentence summary of what they have learned about that topic. Okay, yeah, so you can also variations of this, yes, plenty. So it's just 1 minute response. Okay, and you can even, when I do this, I use the timer. Okay, so you can also use a timer. Okay, you can use your cell phone if you don't have a timer in your classroom, if you are in a face-to-face class, no. Okay, so you can also use your cell phone timer. Okay, but you have to give them 1 minute. And why is this important? Because the fact of timing the activity to 1 minute, okay, I mean, gives your students this, like, I have to finish, I have to write something in just 1 minute, right? So they are going to be really focused on the activity, okay, engaged, which is something that we are always looking for, right? Our students' engagement in our sessions, okay? Now, think, pair, share. Okay, this is very, very interesting, very important, and I am sure that you do it, but maybe you didn't know that the strategy was called like that, but it's think, pair, share. Okay, very simple. Okay, you pair, okay, students with another student, okay, and have them discuss their ideas. And then you reconvene as a group and call on different pairs to ask them to share their thoughts. In other way, it thinks it works like this, okay? So I think that sometimes a picture says more than words, okay? So you pose a question, okay, and you give your students some time to think on their own. Then you pair them, okay, to discuss with a partner to exchange their answers, right, with a partner. But then you give them the time to share with the whole class, okay? So that's think, okay? They do it on their own. Then they discuss with a partner, they share, okay, their answers with a partner. And then they share with the class, okay? And something that I noticed this clearly is in this virtual mode. Why? Because you pose a question, okay, and everybody's here in the room, right, in the virtual room, okay. They think then you go and ask them to go into breakout rooms, right, in pairs or in groups of 3 sometimes, right, and you give them the chance to exchange their answers, to ask each other, to think, no, okay, to improve their answers. And then they came back to the whole class and then they participate in front of the class. Okay, so this is think, pair, share. Okay, I think that it's very clear, okay, when you do this in this virtual mode, because you send them to a breakout room. Now, in a face-to-face session, okay, make sure that you give your students the chance to work in pairs before presenting or answering in front of the class or to the class, right? Okay, that is the idea. Yeah, that is think, pair, share. Okay. Then we have this. Okay, what does this picture have to do with? Anybody? Any idea? Maybe you get like the other one, like 4 corners. Maybe you know this one. The key is here. Take a look at this. Okay. With L, leaves. With P, petal. With R, roots. W, water. Okay, so what is this? What is the name of this strategy? Have you ever asked your students to work on something like this? Maybe you have done, or maybe not. Okay, so let's see. Brainstorm. Okay, yeah, okay, can be brainstorming. Alphabet words, maybe. It's related to the alphabet. Yes, very good, Eunice Orozco. Very good, excellent. Okay, family words, Elizabeth. Okay. Alphabet game. Okay. Sounds, guessing. Side words, Carolina. Okay. We're going to check. Yeah. Okay. It's ABC brainstorming. Very good. Many of you said brainstorming, right? Pilar. Okay. Very good. Yes. Okay. This is a strategy called ABC brainstorming. Okay, now it challenges students to create a list of all the letters in the alphabet and write down something that begins with each letter that relates to the unit. Okay, yeah, so the unit or the topic. Okay, so this is it. This is it. Okay, so as you said, no, for example, here says dirt, leaves, petal, roots, water. Okay, probably this is a science class, right? Or has to do with a scientific topic, right? Related to plants, probably. Okay. Yeah, so the parts of the plants, probably, no? Because they say the roots. Yeah, it's important to increase vocabulary. Yeah, and apart from that, this is a brainstorming, no? Before, or in order to activate your students' background knowledge related to a topic, right? Okay, so maybe you are talking about it, you're going to talk about inventions. Yeah, okay. So maybe you can ask them to write an ABC brainstorming, no? And they can start thinking about this. Of course, you have to give them a template or ask them to write all the letters of the alphabet on their notebooks, and they start filling in groups, no? They can complete, because maybe for one person it's going to be difficult, but in group, I think that it's going to be easier for them, no? To complete. Of course, that they don't have to complete all the alphabet, but at least some words, right? That's the idea. Okay. And also with this, they realize how much they know. Okay. Maybe they are not able to write more than 2 words. And they will say, oh, I know very little about this topic. No, so I need to learn more. So they realize about that. Or maybe in a group, they write like 10 words and they will feel like no proud. Okay, teacher, we did 10. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, so that's ABC brainstorming, which is another one here. And then I don't know if you have ever used this strategy. Okay, how is this strategy called? Guess. It's very easy. I'm going to give you a hint. Focus on the numbers. Focus on the numbers. Yeah. Okay, so what is the name of this strategy? Okay. Yes, Isabel Peña, very important what you have mentioned. Okay. So what is the name? Yes, Rocío. Excellent. Claps for Rocío Sedano Hidalgo. Very good. The strategy is 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is the strategy, 3, 2, 1. And what is this? 3 things I learned. Okay, 3 things I learned today, no? This is done after you finish the lesson, of course, okay? Before they leave. Okay, so 3 things I learned. So they have to mention here 3 things they learned, okay? 2 interesting facts. Okay, 2 interesting facts and 1 question I have, okay, about the topic. All right. And then you can read this and you say, okay, and where would you focus? On the things they learned, on the interesting facts, or the questions they have? I mean, maybe in the 3 of them, maybe for you 3 and 1 are more important. Okay, so I don't know, because this is also going to help you make decisions on your following sessions, no? Okay, yes. All right. So this is also, this is another strategy that you can also apply, okay, in your sessions, the 3, 2, 1 strategy. And as you can see, it's not that difficult, okay? It's just a matter of maybe implementing this, okay? Now, today I am showing you some strategies, but I would like you to do something. Choose a couple of them or 3 of them and start implementing this in your future lessons, okay? I mean, the idea is to give you a variety, but definitely you choose the ones that you think could work for you and your students, because it's important also not to feel comfortable with it. Yeah, give it a try and try to choose 2 or 3 to start implementing during your future sessions. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay, we have concept maps. Okay, and sometimes we think that it's difficult, no? I mean that, okay, but my students don't have the vocabulary. Well, but listen to this. Here I have a concept map, an example, and I liked and I wanted to share this with you because it's a concept map, but made of pictures. It's for vocabulary, right? Not even concept, but okay, here you have a square, for example, and the students added no some pictures that had to do with squares, circle, and they say, okay, a box, a TV, a window, ball, okay, cookie, okay, a wheel, okay, a triangle, okay, a hook, pizza, no, an iron, etc. No, so this is a concept map, and as you can see here, is based on pictures, and then your students can explain this. Okay, they can even use this to explain, and you are making them to practice vocabulary, and also you are helping them to organize the ideas and the information they have. Okay, because this is a way to organize. They are making connections doing this. Okay, so it's important, and you see they are using just pictures, no? Okay, not even concepts or some difficult things, no? Because sometimes when we think concept maps, yeah, teacher, but my students don't have the level, you know, they don't know, they cannot link ideas, okay? Yeah, but that's why we are using concept maps, to help them organize their ideas, okay? Because we are teaching, this is to guide them, okay, to create their own strategies, no, to apply, to show them that they can do it. Otherwise, who's going to do that for them? Because they are not going to do this on their own. No, I mean, we are facilitators and we have to guide them through this process. Okay. All right. What else? Then we have also the graffiti wall. I don't know if you have seen this. The other day I went to the Friendship Park. I don't know if you have ever visited the Friendship Park, and I saw something like this. Okay, the topic was like plants, saving trees. Okay, and people had to, I mean, anyone, no? Children, parents, elderly people, whoever, okay, wanted, there were some markers there, and you just pick up marker and start writing a message, okay, in order to promote, okay, the planting of trees, okay. So I mean, and I found this activity interesting, and this is a graffiti wall, okay, and this is something that you can also do in your class, okay. You just need to paste different pieces of paper on the wall, and you can ask your students to write or draw, okay, to show what they learned about a topic or what they think about a topic, okay. And also you give this a sense of variety. You're encouraging your students to write something, and also they are going to have fun because they are doing something different, and you give your class also some movement, okay. So I think that this also will help you a lot, okay. And this is graffiti wall, and you need just paper and markers, okay. That's all you need for this activity, okay. Yeah. Okay, and this is the inside outside circle. Okay, I don't know if you have heard about the onion ring also, because this strategy is also called the onion ring. Yeah, one group creates a large circle. First, you make them to create a large circle, and then you make another circle inside, okay? And then you ask the students to face each other, okay? And you can ask them to discuss, you can pose questions, or you can even ask them to write their questions beforehand, and then they can ask each other the questions, no? And the idea is that the students have, once they finish the inner circle, okay, moves, okay, students move one place, so they can have the chance to talk with everybody, no? That is the idea, okay. Yeah, so it's also a nice activity, and of course you promote a lot of speaking, okay, and you ask them to, I mean, you encourage students to practice. Yeah, okay, so this is also nice. I am going to share the presentation with Mariela, and she is going to share this with you, no? And there is also a link here, okay, because all like these ideas you can find in the internet. I have the source here, okay. These are some of them I have tried. I have tried most of them. Well, I've been teaching for many years, okay. All right, so I have tried most of them, and I found them interesting, and I think that they could work for you as well, okay, in your classes. Okay, and this is a very famous one. I'm sure that most of you have used it before, okay, which is the KWL chart. Okay, it's what I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. I find it very similar to the 3-2-1, okay? It's similar to the 3-2-1, but this is just what I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. Yeah, so, and the idea is to use this KWL chart at the beginning of the lesson and at the end of the lesson. Yeah, and by the way, this is a question of the exit ticket. Yeah, so Take notes, okay? So this is the KWL chart, yeah? What I know, what I want to know, what I learned. As you can see here again, it says topic, okay? It says topic, okay? What I know about, I don't know, what I know about endangered animals, okay? What I want to know about endangered animals. And then at the end, what I learned about endangered animals. And this is nice because you can also, your students, okay, they are going to complete this at the beginning, no? At the beginning of the session, they will probably be doing this, right? These two questions, what I know and what I want to know. And then at the end of the lesson, your students are going to write this, what I learned. Okay, so they can write what they have learned, and they are going to realize that they really learned something, because at least one thing, no, about endangered animals. Okay, maybe they are going to learn that there are, like, I don't know, 500 pandas in the world. Okay, I'm just saying a number. I know that panda bears are endangered. Okay, but maybe they are going to learn that. No? So it depends on the material that you're going to explore with your students during the session, the activities that you are going to do with your students during the session. So at the end, they are going to be able to write something, okay? Because they definitely, no, and they are going to realize that they are able to learn in English, okay? So English is not just about the verbs, about the adjectives, or about the adverbs, or about the future tenses, or about the past tenses, or about about past tense, irregular verbs, regular verbs. No, but they can also learn, okay, some things using English, through English, no? So this is interesting, and when they realize about this, I think that they will get more engaged, no, in the sessions. Yeah, so try to use this. This is also something that I really like. I honestly, I have used the KWL chart more than the 3-2-1, honestly. Okay. Now, we are going to check some assessment tools. At the beginning, I told you that when you think about assessment, no, rubrics and checklists come to your mind immediately. But I think that now you have realized that assessment involves some strategies that assess students' learning, okay, in the process, no? Because all the strategies that we have seen, okay, have to do with the process of learning, no? When students are constructing their knowledge, okay? And here we go to the end, no? What we usually do at the end, the assessment tools. We apply some assessment tools to our students' evidence of learning, okay? And what assessment tools do you know? Can you please enter your answers in the chat box? What assessment tools do you know? Or maybe not only that you know, but the ones that you have applied. Be honest. Okay, so if you have applied certain tools, tell, no, quizzes, tests, exams, final exam. Okay, so just enter, okay? Okay, rubrics. Okay, Marcia says rubrics. Okay, Erika says diagnostic. Uh-huh. Questions at the end of the lesson, rubrics, quizzes, rubrics, checklist. Okay, very good. Checklist, linguistic games, rubrics, quizzes. Okay, quizzes, checklist. Okay. Aha. Okay. Digital tools, rubrics, Kahoot, quizzes. Okay, yes, because Kahoot and quizzes are also tools to assess our students, right? Especially for quizzes. Okay, so here I've got one which is called the portfolio. And I know, and I think that now you are talking a lot about portfolio, right? These days. I have heard this in different presentations that you have been talking about portfolio. And what is a portfolio? Okay, a portfolio is a purposeful collection of student work samples, student self-assessment and goals statements that reflect student progress. Okay, students generally choose the work samples to place in the portfolio, but the teacher may also recommend that specific work samples be included. No, portfolios are powerful tools that allow students to see their academic progress from grade to grade. Okay, yeah. So portfolios is not new. I mean, many schools have been using portfolios to assess students' progress. Okay, and the idea is that the students, as you can see here, they can collect, okay, their best pieces of work or their best pieces of learning evidence. Okay, and the idea is that the portfolio is not just for 1 year, okay, because I have worked at the school where we used to have a portfolio that goes from 1 year to the next one, no? And you continue adding things to this portfolio. So at the end of the level, okay, let's say if we are talking about the lower grades, okay, for example, you have first, second, and third grade, okay, and you have a portfolio at the end of third grade with first, second, and third grades students' production. No, so you can see all the work they have done and their progress, because that is the idea. Okay, so that is the portfolio, the collection of the best pieces of work. Okay, now students are able to choose their best pieces of work, okay, to be added to their portfolio. But as teachers, you also can recommend the students, know, which pieces of work should be included in the portfolio. Okay, so I think portfolios is a good way to gather also students I mean progress, no, I mean information. Imagine if you could receive your students' portfolio next year, no? So even though they were not your students, you would be able to see, okay, about their progress. Okay, so that would be amazing, right? And this portfolio, the previous one, could also help you to diagnose your students. You see, so this could be also another source, okay, to get the diagnostic, no, of your students' level of English, yeah, and progress, no. Okay, so I think that this is important, and maybe we can start implementing this, no, portfolios. Okay, I think that it's about you. I mean, you decide, no. So if you agree on this with other teachers, okay, I think that you can start implementing kind of portfolios. Okay, that would be interesting. Then we have another one, which is something that you have also mentioned. Everybody has mentioned this, which is the rubrics. Yes, the rubrics. And I think that you have been involved, right, in making rubrics, okay, for quite a long time, I think. Okay, and you have different two kinds of rubrics, no? So you have the holistic rubric and the analytic rubric, okay? And according to Heidi Goodrich Andrade, a rubrics expert, defines a rubric as a scoring tool that lists the criteria for a piece of work or what counts, no? For example, a rubric for an essay might tell students that their work will be judged on purpose, organization, details, voice, and mechanics. You can make a rubric, okay, for presentations. No, you can make a rubric for, and you make a rubric for oral presentation and also for written production, right? So you can have a rubric that can be applied to these two kind of products, no? And also your learning evidences are based on that, right? So rubrics, okay? So you can also use rubrics, okay? But again, you are assessing the product, okay? And you have these types of rubrics and the checklist. I think that the checklist is the one that has been used for many years. And I think that we are very familiarized with checklists, right? And checklists are assessment tools that set out the specific criteria which educators and students may use to gauge student skill development or progress. No, the checklists are used to provide tools, okay, for systematically recording or observations, to provide the students with tools that they can use for self-evaluation, to provide examples of criteria for students at the beginning of a project or learning activity, okay, to document the development of the skills, strategies, attitudes, and behaviors that are necessary for effective learning, and to identify students' learning needs, right, by summarizing to date. Okay, so this is the checklist form, and I know that you have been using the checklist for a while. Now, what is your challenge? Okay, I think that after this presentation, I would like to set a challenge for all of you. Okay, when could you apply the assessment strategies shown in this presentation? So when could you apply the assessment strategies shown in this presentation? I mean, during the session, no? Okay, or during the unit, if you want to call it like this, no? So when could you apply these assessment strategies? Okay, and when could you apply the assessment tools shown in this presentation as well? So when, no? So that is now your challenge, okay, to think when at the beginning, during the process, at the end, at the beginning of the unit, okay, in the middle of the unit, at the end of the unit, okay? So when, I think that this is your challenge, okay? Yes, merci, Aileen Quispe Saldivar. Yes, making rubrics, it's a little bit difficult. And I think that the analytic rubric is a little bit, maybe not more difficult, but maybe time consuming. And it also demands a little bit more thinking on the side of the teacher, right? Okay. Maybe the one that we use is the holistic rubric, no, which is easier, okay, it's not time consuming, but definitely the one that it's I can say not more objective but precise, okay, is the holistic, the analytic rubric, right? Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, for your participation, your very active group of teachers, okay, today. Thank you very much. And now I think that we have some time for a round of questions. Okay, so I will be answering some of your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Magda, for being here tonight. It is always a pleasure to have you here. And more than that, I think that every teacher here is now with has a lot of ideas to create new type of classes, also to assess differently. So thank you so much. And of course, I'm gonna read for you some of the questions that we have from the teachers.
Okay.
The first one is from Miss Luz Adriana Jaramillo. She asks, she would like to know what is the best way to evaluate children from preschool?
Oh, from preschool. I really admire preschool teachers. Okay. I remember I taught, well, many years ago, but I taught preschool students for 7 years. Okay, and the best way to assess or evaluate preschool is through activities in which you realize and check if students are understanding or not what you are teaching. Okay, so I use checklist, for example, as a tool, no? But I think that you can also use, for example, you can adequate all the strategies that I shared today, okay, through kindergarten as well. For example, the 4 corners in the way I adapted to check vocabulary, no? You can even use the TPR activities to check, to evaluate your students' understanding, but you need to have a checklist, okay? Because at that level, what we evaluate is students' oral production and understanding, no? Definitely, there is no writing yet, okay? And we can, what we just evaluate at this point is speaking, okay, and understanding, no? I mean, you check understanding, vocabulary, okay? So I recommend to use a lot of TPR activities, okay? And if you are teaching phonics, okay, there you have another thing that you can also assess, no? Okay, the way they are learning these phonics, if you teach phonics, yeah? But if not, you concentrate on vocabulary and also expressions. No, I think that we teach vocabulary and expressions, a lot of expressions, and then you can check. You can also include some reading, okay? If you have readers, graded readers, okay, you can also include some readers at this point, but it's you telling them the stories. It's you asking them questions, okay, about the story. Definitely we need a lot of visuals, no, because we have for kindergarten we have this kind of big books, right? So we concentrate on the pictures and we have to pay attention if they really identify the pictures they see in the story. And you can also ask them one by one, okay, at some point in the class to come here and try to identify the pictures, or in a way retell you the story, no, just by with words, no. What is this? Okay, if this is a bear, a tree, a dog, I don't know. Okay, so it depends.
Thank you, thank you. Another question that I have here from Miss, I think, Dini. Well, the question is, can they use dictionary for the ABC brainstorming?
Okay. Okay, that's a good question. Remember that this is a brainstorming, okay, and the idea is to know how much they know about the topic. If you are going to use this strategy as a brainstorming, it would not be a good idea to let them use the dictionary. But if you are going to use this, okay, in order to build or construct their own learning, they can use their dictionary. So it depends on what you want to do. But if it is going to be used just to activate prior knowledge about the topic, it's not a good idea, no? Because here, when you activate prior knowledge, is you want to know, or you want to check how much your students know about the topic. And if they use the dictionaries, I mean, you are not going to get the answer for that question, no? Okay, now, but if it is for other purpose, go ahead. I think that the students can use dictionaries, and indeed, it's a good idea to make them use their dictionaries at some point in the class.
Course. And another question here that I have from Miss Sara Mejia is how assess when we have large classes, 40 or 45 students in class? Can you give us some tips?
Sure, sure. Okay, so definitely all these strategies, as you can see, can be applied to large classes without any problem. You can develop the 4 corners, the 3-to-1, the KWL. Okay, so you can develop different strategies, or you can apply different strategies with large groups. But if you, maybe what you refer is on how to assess students' production. No, I think that that is more challenging for teachers when we have large class, especially if we want to assess written production. Okay, because if we have 40 students, okay, we will have to read the 40 pieces of writing. No, I think that at least there must be at least one piece of writing that we should be assessing in every unit, right? Because it is important to check, okay, and to make sure that our students are really developing these skills, no, related to writing. Okay, so the only thing we can do is to give them feedback, but what we can do here is also a peer correction, and then we can also give revise the first draft, and then make sure that your students make the improvements based on your suggestions or on your feedback. And then at the end, we are going to have, of course, less work to do when correcting. Okay, so if we, in other words, if we follow the process of writing, okay, you're going to be sure that your student's product is going to be something that is going to be well organized. Okay, probably they are going to have less mistakes, so it's going to be easier for you as well. So do your best during the process, so at the end you have less work to do. Okay, now in order to evaluate speaking, well, when you do this kind of, for example, this think, pair, share, you can also use this as a tool. Okay, you just have your rubric or your checklist with you, and then you start, okay, just ticking, right? That is another way, very fast. And you don't need to ask everybody to speak in front of the class, but because if you assign group work, you can be monitoring and paying attention to what your students are saying, and you can be evaluating, okay? In that moment in class. So you don't need a specific time, but maybe you will need a specific class, no? Okay, and you need to plan or design a specific activity that lets you evaluate your students speaking. Okay, and if you decide to make a presentation, for example, you want your students to present in front of the class, a tip could be to have the rubric, okay, to evaluate or to assess that presentation, but at the same time prepare something for the listeners, okay, because otherwise you spend like an hour, okay, uh, just everybody presenting in front of the class, but when one of our students present in front of the class, the others are doing nothing, okay? So what you need is to give them something. So, okay, if they are going to present an example, the topic endangered animals, okay, you can prepare something, okay, a chart, no? And you can give this chart to be completed by the listeners. So it's very simple. Name, okay, maybe some facts about endangered animals. Okay, a couple, 3 or 4 things, no more than that. And the students, okay, Pedro says this. Okay, Lucia says, and they have something to do. Okay, so it's not just evaluating the one who is in front, but also the listening, no, the others from the ones who are sitting down and listen. Suppose. No, we suppose that they are listening. But if you want to make sure that they are listening, give them something to do. No, so that is a tip I can give you. Okay, any other question?
Yeah, actually, I have another one here from Miss Rita Corimanja that, well, she would like to know that if we give the KWL at the beginning of the lesson, how can we make the previous knowledge?
How can you activate the previous knowledge? When, okay, they activate the prior knowledge with the question, what I know about the topic. Okay, when you present the topic and you say, okay, today we're going to talk about endangered animals. Okay, take a look at these endangered animals. Okay, what do you know about endangered animals? Please write on this column, okay, right here in this column, what you know, all what you know about endangered animals. And I don't know, there are some students who are more interested in the topic than others, definitely, no? So maybe some of them are going to write more than others. So you are going to identify who are the ones who have more knowledge on the topic than the others, no? So that's the way you activate prior knowledge, because you want to know what they know, okay? What they come with to the session, what they bring to the session, okay? Without having taught them anything yet, all right? And then the second column is what I want to know. Okay, I know very little about endangered animals, almost nothing, but I want to know this. Okay, which animals are endangered? Where do these animals live? Where do they live? No, what do they eat? I want to know why are they endangered, no? Maybe, okay? And I suppose that during the lesson, maybe not all of their questions are going to be answered, but probably they are going to find some answers for some of the questions they had in the KWL chart. So at the end of the lesson, they go back to the chart to complete the third column. And they will say, okay, I learned that there are animals like, I don't know, the panda bears, the Komodo dragon, which are endangered today. Koalas are also endangered because recently there has been a fire, okay, in Australia, and many of them died. So maybe they probably they are going to learn a lot of things, and they are going to write. And then you're going to realize, oh, they have really learned a lot, no? Okay. Because sometimes you think, but my students don't understand. They are not going to learn. Okay, but they are going to learn something, but they will. No? Mhm. Okay.
And one last question from teacher Javier. He asks, what is the difference between formative evaluation and summative evaluation?
Okay, great. Summative evaluation is the one that we do at the end of the program or the unit or the didactic unit. Okay, that is summative. The one that we also do at the end of the year is summative. Summative evaluation is the one that we apply just on the product, okay, or the evidence of learning in this case. Yeah. And it can be through this learning evidence. Also, the very famous final exams are also summative evaluation. But formative assessment is something different because formative assessment is done through all the learning process. Okay, so summative is applied just at the end of a program, at the end of a unit. Okay, and then the formative one is the one that you do day by day. Okay, applying different strategies like the ones we have seen today. Okay.
Thanks again for being here tonight, for all the strategies and everything that you provide us, and the amazing ideas also. And I would like to invite you to stay with us for a bit more so we can all end this amazing webinar together. Thanks again,
Sure.
Magda, for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure for me to share with you teachers, okay, not only from Puno, but from different regions of Peru and also maybe from some other countries, I don't know, but it's a pleasure to share with all of you. And thank you very much once again for the invitation, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now I'm going to call my dear friend Court so we can go to the exit ticket. Court, are you there?
Thank you, Angelita. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You have my respects, Magda Castro. We have learned a lot today with you. Continuing with our spring webinar series, next Saturday the 1st, at the same time, the time that we all already know, which is 6 o'clock, we're gonna have the presence of a very good friend and a supporter of the ETIP community. Perhaps you might remember him because in his last webinar, he sang and played to us a beautiful song, Careless Whisper. Yeah, I'm talking about Mr. Juan Valenzuela. And he's presenting his webinar entitled Teaching Reflections and Ideas for the Post-Pandemic Classroom. You cannot miss that because he's going to cover the 4 main skills. Another thing you cannot miss is what all of us were waiting for. Yes, the exit ticket. And this time it's going to be presented by another administrator of the community, my friend and colleague, Elmer Quispe. Elmer, go ahead.
Okay, listen to me. Let's continue.
Yeah, we can see you, dear Elmer. Thank you for being here with us. You can share the exit ticket with all the audience now. Yeah.
Okay, let's continue. Hello, everyone, dear English teachers of Peru. Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be with you, dear team. Nice to meet you, Miss Magda Castro. Congratulations for the excellent and very important webinar. Happy for this unique moment. Thanks a lot. Entonces vamos con lo más importante, el exit ticket. Recuerden, English Teachers en Perú, que estará disponible por 15 minutos, ¿ok? Ok, registremos. E minúscula, H, doble T, P, S, dos puntos, doble slash, C, U, T, T, punto, LY, slash, 3, RD. En mayúscula, S, mayúscula P, letra mayúscula R, letra mayúscula I, letra mayúscula N, letra mayúscula G, letra mayúscula E, letra mayúscula T, letra minúscula I y letra mayúscula T. Así que recuerden, queridos English Teachers en Perú, registrar sus datos correctos y el correo electrónico para el envío de los materiales desarrollados en el webinar. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Miss Mariela.
Thank you, dear Elmer. Muchas gracias a todos English Teachers in Perú. Ya estamos llegando al finalizar el webinar. Ya también ha quedado fijado el exit ticket en el chat. Por favor, les pido que tengan el cuidado para completar sus datos. Está habiendo algunos problemitas con algunos correos que a veces no digitan bien y por ende a veces no llega el material como corresponde. Hoy amablemente nuestra querida ponente, speaker Magda Castro nos ha confirmado que va a compartir con nosotros el excelente material presentado el día de hoy. Y bien, continuamos entonces ya para el cierre de este webinar con la despedida y el agradecimiento a todos ustedes por su audiencia de parte del equipo administrativo de nuestra comunidad English Teachers in Peru. Thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the English Teachers in Peru community. Muchísimas gracias por su atención. Este es un esfuerzo realizado por este grandioso equipo que ven en pantalla. Y unos saluditos también a todos los teachers que están en nuestro grupo de estudio, a todos los teachers que están inscritos para nuestros webinars, más de 700 teachers que han estado el día de hoy, bastantes realmente, querida Magdita, te contaré. Más de 700, saludos para México, para Nicaragua, para Ecuador, para Argentina, para Bolivia, para Costa Rica, para Puerto Rico, de diferentes partes del mundo, en realidad diferentes países. Muchísimas gracias por seguirnos, muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros y por supuesto a todos nuestros teachers que están en diferentes partes del Perú. Querida Magda, a nombre de toda la comunidad, quiero agradecerte de todo corazón tu presencia el día de hoy aquí con nosotros, el que acepte siempre nuestra invitación y el que tenga siempre la disposición de compartir con todos nosotros. Tal vez no lo recuerdo, pero yo recuerdo alguna vez cuando tú estabas dentro del equipo de inglés del Ministerio de Educación, llegaste a Puno, diste un taller que hasta el día de hoy lo puedo recordar de principio a fin. Fue súper didáctico sobre task-based learning, fue genial, realmente a mí me consta la excelente profesional que eres. Para nosotros es un lujo y es un placer haberte tenido el día de hoy con nosotros en la comunidad y haber podido compartir todo esto también para que se favorezcan en su formación profesional todos nuestros teachers, nuestros colegas. ¿Algún mensajito de despedida, querida Magda?
Sí, muchas gracias Mariela y a todo el equipo de English Teachers en Perú. Muchas gracias por la invitación y siempre para mí es un placer poder compartir con toda la comunidad. Y bueno, muchas gracias. Espero que lo poquito que hemos visto el día de hoy les pueda servir para poder aplicarlo en sus clases, en sus sesiones, porque esa es la idea, ¿no? La idea es de que lo poquito que podamos aprender lo podamos aplicar, ¿no? Y aplicarlo inmediatamente. Así es que si están elaborando su sesión de aprendizaje para la próxima semana, de repente por ahí podrían incluir alguna estrategia, ¿no? Que yo sé que les va a dar también a ustedes, les va a dar esa motivación, ¿no? Para seguir implementando, para seguir innovando, ¿no? Porque siempre es bueno también tratar cosas que antes no hemos visto de repente, o que yo sabía que era de una manera, pero mira, ahora también puedo hacerlo de esta otra, ¿no? Y creo que nos vamos nutriendo todos, ¿no? Y para mí siempre es un placer compartir con ustedes un poco, ¿no? Y la experiencia que uno tiene. Y bueno, y aquí entre todos vamos aprendiendo. Nadie es dueño de la verdad,
Sí,
siempre todo es
definitivamente.
perfectible, pero si tenemos, creo, hay una idea y go ahead, ¿no? Como siempre les digo, esa es la idea, pero ustedes son muchísimo más creativos y yo sé que lo van a hacer excelente, ¿no? Muchísimas gracias, Mariela, y gracias a toda tu audiencia también el día de hoy. Gracias. Ha
Miles de
sido un placer
gracias,
y
Magda. Un
un abrazo
aplauso
para
a todo el
todos.
equipo administrativo, para ti,
Aplauso para ustedes, aplausos
Teachers, no sean
virtuales para todos
tímidos, los
ustedes.
administradores enciendan las camaritas. Es momento de despedirnos. El día de hoy he estado con todos ustedes y no voy a olvidar una fecha muy, muy especial para nosotros. Ella es el cumpleaños de nuestra querida administradora Miriam Córdoba, que está por ahí. Así que un
Oh, happy
abrazo
birthday to you,
gigante.
Miriam.
Ya.
Salud,
No,
salud,
Miriam,
salud.
que lo
Thank you so
festejes
much.
muy, muy
Cheers.
bien. Ha querido
Thank you,
compartir
Isma.
su cumpleaños aquí en este webinar, querida Miriam, de todo corazón, un súper feliz cumpleaños. El día de hoy está con ustedes nuestro querido administrador Elmer Quispe Ochoa, que está ahí. Elmer, saludando a toda la audiencia. Ángela Salazar, nuestra querida Angelita. Miss Miriam Córdoba, la cumpleañera, el día de hoy, nuestra administradora. Kurt Vilela, presente aquí. De igual manera, Gina Evelyn Soplopuco, nuestra querida Miss Gina, que ha estado a cargo de la presentación del speaker. Mil gracias. Catherine Novoa, nuestra queridísima traviesa Catherine, la que pone la chispa en el equipo administrativo. Es raro que no salga ahorita con caritas y cositas así. Bien linda nuestra Katy. Tenemos también a Ricardo Núñez y Nostroza, nuestro administrador, querido Ricardo. Jessica Magali Carguavilca, ahí está presente Jessie, administradora de la comunidad. Maite Flores, nuestra querida Maite. También tenemos, ahí está mi querida Maite mostrándose en pantalla, a Pamela Salazar, Pamelita linda, que también es parte del equipo administrativo, y por supuesto también a José Ortega, que está detrás de toda la transmisión y los pormenores detrás de toda la conexión. Mil gracias a todos English Teachers in Perú, que pasen un lindo fin de semana, lo que queda ya de él. Bye, bye.
Un abrazo para todos, un gusto verlos y sigan trabajando por los profes. Vale la pena.
Gracias, gracias.
Gana Perú, gana.